Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is such a hard way to go. Hey there friends, how's it going? This is David Potts with Song Notes, and I am pumped to be bringing you a guitar lesson for Angel from Montgomery today. So this is one many of you have requested on my Patreon page. Thank you all so much for your support. I hope you find this lesson helpful. It's been a joy to dive into this song. So I'm going to be basing this one off the John Prine original version of this song. But even if you want to play the Bonnie Raitt version or any other cover, this sheet music I made will help you along the way. It's got all the lyrics on page 1, a little bit of a chord cheat sheet. And on page 2 and 3, I'll get into some of the chords, the strumming patterns, the chord progressions, the exact timing, and I'll show you basically if you want to strum this just like John Prine, and he has that tricky time signature shift from 4 count to measure to 3 counts and back to 4. I'll talk about that. I'll also show you the sort of Bonnie Raitt version, which is a little bit easier in my opinion. It basically keeps 4 counts per measure. It just pushes one of the chords a little bit early. So I'll explain what all that means, and I'll tail things off with some licks and fills and little ways you can spice things up if that's what you're interested in. And then of course a playthrough where I put it all together. So let's get into this lesson. Thanks to all of you who are supporting me over on my Patreon page. I really appreciate it. You can learn more on my website, playsongnotes.com, as well as get the link to my sheet music and all my other John Prine lessons. I actually just finished this sheet music for Hello in There, if you want to learn that one. It's another one of his amazing songs from his debut album, which is just crazy. He's writing songs like this for his first album ever. So let's get into it. Angel from Montgomery, John Prine. All right, friends, so let's start this one off with a quick crash course. If you just want to get the chords and run with it, here's what it's going to look like, the structure of this song. You basically have a verse and a chorus for the most part. And in the verse, you're basically going to be going between a G and a C. And you're going to repeat that a few times, right? So, I am an old woman, one more time, named after my mother. Repeat that again. My old man is another. And then we go from a D to G. Okay, and then you repeat that for the second half of the verse. If dreams were lightning, I'll talk about strumming in a minute, and thunder were desire, this old house would have burned down, a D to G. Okay, then you go to the chorus. Now the chorus, you're going to need an F chord, and I'll talk about ways to play the F in a minute, but basically the idea is one measure of the G. Make me an F angel that C flies to Montgomery. Right? Repeat that 3 times. Make me a poster of C and to G. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Now, this last line of the chorus, we're just going to use the same G, C, D that we already did in the verse. To believe in this living is such a hard way to go. And that's basically it for this entire song. If you just want the big picture lie of the land, those are the 2 sections, the verse and the chorus. They have a lot in common. The chorus, though, is going to introduce this F chord. Now, let me talk about some of the details. I'll talk about chords next, and after that, I'll talk about the chord progression and the strumming. I'm actually going to talk a lot about the rhythm. John Prine is shortening one of these measures to only 3 counts, and it gives the song a lot of its rhythmic feel. A lot to be mined from that. So I'm going to talk about that, and then finally I'll talk about some cool flourish, fills, licks, riffs you can do to add things and spice things up, and I'll do a playthrough to show you how you put it all together. So the chords really quick, all right? We're in the key of G here. So you have your 1, 4, 5, your G, your C, your D, okay? Now, for the G, I really recommend using your ring finger down here and your pinky up here. And the reason why is you want to be able to use this C over G chord. This is going to be helpful in the intro. And it's also going to be helpful if you just want to sort of add some quick flourish to the G. Really handy little hack here for the G chord. So ring finger stays here, pinky stays here, and then you just put these 2 fingers down to complete the C over G. It's called a C over G because it's kind of like a C chord, but your bass note, instead of being this C, is a G. So that slash means it's a C chord with a G bass note, okay? And then this note is technically in the C chord, so you keep that there too, and you have those 2 chords. Now, you have your regular C and your regular D, pretty straightforward, and your F chord. You can do the full 6-string barred F if you want to. If that's giving you trouble, try this version where you just play the middle 4 strings. Very similar to a C. You're just adding your pinky and moving your middle finger to the 3rd string. Now I say mute on the 1st and last string because basically what I'm doing is putting my thumb right there and my index fingers lightly touching that string up here. So that way if you were to play all 6 strings with your pick, the 1st and last string aren't making any noises. So if you're having more trouble with the F chord, check out my F major cheat sheet. It shows you 8 different ways to play it. It's available to members over on my website. Great little hack to get you over the hump with the F chord. Now, we know the chords. Now let's look at the timing and the chord progression. So I'm just going to do a glance at the chord progression here, right? Really quick, the intro, you're just going to go between the G and the C over G, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. This is all John Prine's doing. He's technically playing a piano, so this is like an imitation of that. You just do a down strum on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now this next part, I'm going to get into strumming next actually, but I want to show you what's going on here in John Prine's version. John Prine plays this a little bit different than Bonnie Raitt, who has probably, I don't know if it's the most popular version of this song. But John Prine, check this out. The verse is going to be this 8-measure cluster you play twice, right? And the 7th measure only has 3 counts in it, 3 beats. So it's kind of going to give it this, what's called a pushed feel, if I understand correctly, where you're listening to it and you're sort of nodding along. But then it sounds like this chord change happens quickly because we're switching to that final G out of nowhere. Or we expect, our ear expects to hear one more count on the previous measure. And that sort of pulls us along. It creates some interest to the ear, right? And then you sort of repeat that same verse. And then you also do this same thing in the chorus, right? And I'll just play this so you can hear it. It's really important that you hear this. Don't worry about strumming yet. Let me play these 8 measures in the verse, right? So, I am an old woman named after my mother. G to C one more time. My old man is another child who's grown old. So I got to that old quicker than you expected. And it happens in the chorus too. That would sound like this. I'm going to play 8 measures total. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Same 4 chords. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Okay, that rodeo happened quickly, you know. I think that this, to get philosophical really quick, this song, as I've been listening to it a lot the last couple of days especially, it's just about time and reflecting on the past and being unhappy with the present and what your future could have been. So there's this time aspect to it, and the way that he's playing with the timing, and it pulls you into it, and it kind of creates this dis-ease, you know. You're not just stuck in a steady groove that you're nodding along to. You kind of you get pulled along every 8 measures like clockwork. You're kind of wishing. I don't know how to explain it. I'll stop there. You're not chiming in for my philosophy here. But anyway, that's what's going to happen with the timing. So here's the deal. In the next part of this lesson, I'm going to talk about how to strum it if you want to play like John Prine, okay? Where you want to do this 3-count measure. It's actually kind of tricky to get the feel of. But then I want to talk about the easier way to do it, which is how Bonnie Raitt does it, and it's how the other covers of this song I listen to, Dave Matthews' cover is the one I first heard growing up, and then like Daniel Donato's recent cover from his Young Man's Country album. They do this thing where instead of doing a 3-count measure and then going back to 4, they do a 3-count measure and then they go back to a 5-count measure. And what this does is it keeps it as an 8-count unit. And that way you keep your overall math straight. You're just kind of, it's basically 4 beat measures over and over, where it happens that one measure has an extra beat and one has a reduced beat. So, but in the end, you keep your overall even number of beats, and it really works. It's simpler to play, in my opinion, and it's kind of how I like to play it. But let's talk about strumming real quick. So the baseline strumming pattern for this song, the one you really want to get comfortable with, is going to be a down, 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 up, down, 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 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and to me, it's really important that you capture the oomph, the emphasis, the accent on the 1 count and on the 3 count. If you're nodding your head, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. That's really where the accent is, in my opinion, right? So that's why I have this sort of underline there on the down and everything. And you don't want it to be if it's all equal like this, it just kind of sounds robotic and no expression, right? So that's your baseline strumming pattern. Get comfortable with that. You can put on John Prine's version, just do a muted strum, and just get comfortable with that feel, right? Now, here's the deal, though. When you play along with John Prine, that 3-count measure is going to mess everything up. Because if you can't do a 4-count strum over a 3-count measure because you're going to have an extra count and your strumming is going to be off, and then you're like, what do I do? So here's what I recommend doing. For the 3-count measure, I do a down, down, and I sort of do a percussive hit on my guitar to kind of kill the strings, right? And what this does is it kind of... It basically short circuits the strumming pattern in a good way. That's what we want to do. We want to cause our ear to be like, whoa, what's happening? And then on the next measure, that G, you're going to come down on the 1 count. That's really important. You need to come down on the 1 count to establish the new dominant beat, right? And then at the end of that G measure, you're just going to have a lot of light brushes, up, down, up, right? So let's count that through. These 4 measures here represent how we're going to do things. We're going to have 2 normal strumming pattern measures, and then we're going to have this down, down, chop, down, up, up, okay? And after that up, up measure, we're going to repeat the whole thing. So let me play it about 3 times and just give you the idea. I'll do it first without any chords, right? So G, 2, 3, 4, and C, 2, 3, 4, and D, G, G, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, G, 2, 3, and 4, and G, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, chop, G, 2, and 3, and 4, and G. Okay? Rewind that if you need to. I know that doesn't sound necessarily that musical. Let me just sing along, though, to give you some context here. So I'm going to sing, If Dreams Were Lightning, Thunder Were Desire, This Whole House Would Have Burned Down. The reason I'm doing that is the If Dreams Were Lightning part, that whole line is 4 measures, or 4 counts for each measure. It's going to establish the usual 4-count pattern. We're feeling good about it, and then that last measure of D, that D measure is going to mess things up, and then we get back to the G. Okay, I actually I'll do the whole first verse. That way you'll hear the whole thing twice. So here we go. So again, the first line, the third line of the verse are normal. They use 4 counts for each measure. It's the second and the fourth line of the verse. The second to last chord, the D, is where we're going to have the shortened strum. All right, so let's get into it, and you'll hear what I mean. Okay. I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another child who's grown old. If flames were lightning and thunder were desire, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel. So if I counted it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3 and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay. Listen to John Prine's version with this in mind. If this sounds like, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't really hear what's going on, listen to his version, and you're going to hear that 3-count measure in there as clear as day, and it's followed by a 4-count measure. The last thing I'll notice here is I do a quick, I go from a G to a C over G when that last measure. To me, that helps reset the palette and set things up again for the next line. Okay? Now, here's how I want to show you how I play this song a lot of the time, and how Bonnie Raitt plays it, and again, all those other folks play it, is they do this version where the G chord is coming a beat early, but we don't have any shorter measures. I mean, it's all about, it's like potato or potato here, right? You could say it's a 3-beat measure and then a 5-beat measure, or you could say it's 2 4-beat measures at the end. The D is D, 2, 3, 4 on the G, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4 staying on the G. So basically it's 3 counts of D, 5 counts of G. But at the end of the day, like I said, it keeps that overall head nodding groove of 16 beats for this entire line here. Okay, so this one would be G, 2, 3, 4, and C, 2, 3, 4, and D, 2, 3, G, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I counted it with 5, but you get the idea. I'll do it again, and I'll count it as 2 4-beat measures. G, 2, 3, 4, and C, 2, 3, 4, and D, 2, 3, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, and okay. If I played it, I'll do the whole first verse again. I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another child who's grown old. If lightning was something in dreams, and don't judge me on my lyric remembering this last line here. This old house would have burned down. Oh, G, 2, 3, G, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So again, it does have that same feel, the 3-count measure. Right? D, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or D, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and again, just keep this in mind. You might be like, what's going on? I don't understand it. When you try to play it yourself, I have these both written up on my sheet music, and then we'll be in good shape. Now, I want to do a full playthrough of this entire song, but first, let me show you a few different tips and tricks with flourish you can do. Okay, the first thing is, again, get comfortable with this G and C, the C over G. I'll typically use this at the end of most lines of the song. It's a really good reset, right? For example, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel. I'll do it again here. That flies from Montgomery. Okay, I'm just doing a bunch of up, down, up, like a bunch of constant strumming, and just, there's really nothing wrong you can do here. Just put it down and take it off, and it sounds really good. The next one is this little fill you can do. What I'm doing there is I'm strumming my G, right? You can even get extra strings, and it sounds good. The main idea here is you're walking down from the C to the B to the A to the G, okay? This is just walking down the G scale. And if you can basically use your left index and left middle on those strings, keep a constant strum and just sort of pick in the second, third, fourth strings. It's a really good way to add just quick fill, quick accent, not really accent, but a quick fill, quick flourish, a little bit of flair when you're on that G. So check that one out as well. And really, here's the fun thing I like to do with this one. So, you know, in the John Prine version, you have that cool like slide guitar where it's doesn't sound that good on a normal guitar. I am an old woman named after my mother. Right? That's going from a G to a B. So one way I figured out you could do this when you're playing this song is you do a G on the 3rd string open, and your B is going to be 4th fret of the 3rd string. So you can't really slide from 0 to 4 directly, because the same way you can here, your finger's already on 3. Right, but here, what you're going to do is play the open G string and then sort of, maybe like 2nd fret, slide your middle finger up to the 4th fret. Now, here's the deal. How can we play a G chord with our finger like this? Well, the cool part is, if you just take the E-shaped bar chord, which is basically what we use for an F, and we just slide it up 2 frets, that's where your middle finger would naturally be. So that's the cool part is, right? Remember that F I showed you in the beginning of the lesson? That middle 4-string F? Just slide that up 2 frets. Middle finger's already there. Okay, little fill there. Let me play it in context. Let's do the first verse again. Okay. I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another child who's grown old. Now, when you're singing, it might be too much, but what you can do, if you're playing this solo acoustic, and you'll hear me do this in my playthrough there, is you can add that little thing in between verses maybe. Maybe you finish the chorus, right? To believe in this living is such a hard way to go. And you also can do this during the chorus, even though there's no slide guitar during the chorus. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. I'll do it one more time. That I can rely on. It takes some practice to do it smoothly. But a cool thing you can do here is you actually can slide the whole shape up if you want. Okay, so that exists there for you to work with. But now let me do a full playthrough, beginning to end cover, and show you how this one all fits together here. So again, thanks to all of you who are supporting me on my membership over on my website. It's currently through Patreon. It's tremendously appreciated, and this playthrough is for you. If you're not a member and you want to join, head on over to my website, playsongnotes.com. You can find all the info there, what you get. You get access to my instructional PDFs. You get a discount when you buy any of my song PDFs, and you get just access to the community, and it directly supports my lessons. It's the best way to support me. So thank you all again for the support. Really appreciate it. All right, y'all. Angel from Montgomery, John Prine. Let's go. I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another child who's grown old. If dreams were lightning and thunder were desire, this old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is such a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, well, I had me a cowboy. He wasn't much to look at, just a free rambling man. But that was a long time, and no matter how I tried, the years just flowed by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is such a hard thing to go. There's flies in the kitchen, I can hear him buzzing. Since I woke up today, how the hell can a person go to work in the morning, in the evening, and have nothing to say? Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Let me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me